Hey now, what's up guys? So, I have been tagged by Nixonax, who is very cool, in case you haven't checked out her YouTube channel. But this is an About Me video, where basically I have to answer a bunch of questions about me, so this I thought would be fun. Question number 1, your name. Mike Brown. Pretty simple and straightforward. A couple of months ago, when that kid in, I think, St. Louis got murdered by cops, and his name was Mike Brown. So when it started to get posted on the news and Yahoo that Mike Brown has died, and there was a bunch of RIP Mike Brown shirts made and stuff, my friends started texting me and calling me a little freaked out. So that was weird. Number 2, your age. I am 26. Number 3, social media. On Twitter and Instagram, I am Mike Brown 924. Number 4, do you go to school? I was going to school. I was studying filmmaking and video production. I took some time off, but I have to go back to finish my bachelor's degree. Number 5, do you have a job? Yes. I work in retail. Now, in my last Q&A video, I didn't say exactly what my job was because I had a stalker who showed up at my job and found out where I live. But, like, at my job, it's happened to me at least a handful of times where people have recognized me from YouTube, and they'll come up to me and they'll be like, hey, ReviewKingMB. Or they'll ask me if I make YouTube videos and that they've watched them. Or even my coworkers would come up to me and say, yeah, I was flicking through YouTube and I found some of your videos, and they'll say I'm pretty good and stuff. And that's always cool, but also weird when it's like people that I know outside of YouTube, because I don't know, I kind of get weirded out and I'm like, oh, now you're watching my videos. Number 6, when did your love for film begin? I've grown up loving movies, watching movies as a kid, but I think my love and appreciation for movies came in high school. Because in high school I took media class, and not only was that teacher really cool, but he showed us a bunch of movies and then would re-show us the movie with the director's commentary. So it was the first time I think I ever heard a movie with director commentary, and just hearing the director talk about certain scenes and how stuff was done. And so that made me go, wow. It opened me up to movies and made me think about them on a different level. Number 7, what was your first movie you ever watched? The first movie that I actually remember myself watching in the theater that young, I was like 3 or 4 years old, Jurassic Park. That movie, I remember distinctly being in the theater, even though I was that young. I remember the T-Rex scene, and it scared the holy living fuck out of me. A scene like that, or even the Velociraptor stuff, it's terrifying. It's a horror movie at that point. And then obviously Batman Returns is, I think, the first Batman movie I ever saw, not counting the animated stuff. Number 8, what movies define your childhood? Well, Batman Forever, because as a Batman movie, I rewatched that over and over and over again. I loved it. Home Alone 2, not the first one for some reason. I owned the second film on VHS, and so that was just the one that I always watched. Casper, love Christina Ricci. And yeah, that movie I watched so much. Mrs. Doubtfire, I watched that a lot. And Friday the 13th Part 6. Weird to lump all these family movies with that horror movie, but that was one of the first horror movies that I remember watching. It was on TV all the time, and it was the first Jason movie I ever saw. Number 9, movie that changed your view of film. El Mariachi was the first movie that, like I said in my high school media class, that was the first movie that the teacher showed us. And that movie, it was the first time I had seen it, but then hearing Robert Rodriguez in the commentary talk about how much money he had for the movie, which was damn near nothing, a couple thousand, and seeing how he shot some of the action scenes and how you just have to guerrilla style this whole thing. It was a complete different fascination for making film. Memento, the first Christopher Nolan movie I ever saw, and that not only did I love him as a director from that point on, but it was such a different movie. The whole movie is backwards. Nosferatu, I had to watch that in one of my film classes, and that movie, as old as it is, it's still pretty freaky and creepy. Birth of a Nation, I fucking hate that movie. I had to watch that in school, and just from the first viewing, I was sitting there like, wow, this is the most racist piece of shit movie I've ever seen in my life. And what makes me hate it more is that it's regarded as one of the greatest movies of all time because of how old it is and for the different technical aspects of filmmaking it was doing. 10. Favorite director. Surprise, surprise, Christopher Nolan. Wes Craven, when it comes to just horror. I love Wes Craven. Quentin Tarantino. I mean, he has a distinct style to his movies that I love. I love his writing. I love the type of movies that he makes. And David Fincher. It's number 11. Favorite genre. I don't know if technically superhero movies are a genre. If they are, then that's definitely one. Straight up action movies I love, like the Die Hard movies, or I guess any Bruce Willis movie, really. Horror, when they're good, of course. And comedy. Number 12, least favorite genre, romantic comedy. I mean, it's not like there hasn't been a romantic comedy that I've liked. Of course there has, but man, when you see some of the bad ones and some of the horrible acting or the cliches that's in every single film, they all kind of start the same. This incredibly hot chick who can't find a guy to save her life, and she's either the most clumsy person ever, or she just has this low opinion of herself, and it makes you hate her so much. And then she meets the most good-looking guy ever, and watching the two of them get together, because that's how they always end, is they get together. It's awful. 13, movies that you've cried in. Well, I don't really cry a lot in movies. Sure, I'll get to that point where, like, I feel like I could cry, or I want to cry, but I don't. Funny enough, the movies that I've actually broke down and cried during are superhero movies. And I know that sounds dumb, or, like, really, but let me explain why. Spider-Man 3. No, I didn't cry because of how bad it was, which some people would say. That was 2007, so I was still in high school, and my girlfriend at the time cheated on me, and just, like, really broke my heart, I guess. I mean, high school, are you really in love? Who really knows? But still, I was pretty upset. And then my friends and I went to go see Spider-Man 3. The moment when Mary Jane breaks up with Peter Parker and tells him that there's somebody else, and Peter just starts crying and saying, why, I love you, and all this stuff. People make fun of Tobey Maguire forever for that scene and for the way he looks when he cries. But I was in the theater like, oh my god, this is too much. This was me a couple of days ago, you know? The Dark Knight Rises, for the Michael Caine scene at the end with the funeral, and him crying and saying, I failed you to Bruce, and just thinking about that. And then, most recently, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Another movie that people are like, really, that fucking movie? But the moment at the end, should I spoil it? I'd say by this point enough people have seen it. When Gwen Stacy dies, that moment, for, if nothing else, that moment hits you. Number 14, the most overrated movie. I guess Kevin Smith's movies. I mean, I wouldn't say I like dislike any of them, but I remember a friend of mine and a bunch of people actually have told me over the years that, oh, you know, his movies are great, you gotta watch them. I watched Clerks 1 and I enjoyed that. But pretty much every movie after I thought was really overrated and just, I didn't care for the writing or a lot of the characters. 15, most underrated movie. Cabin Fever, because just the other week I showed a friend of mine Cabin Fever because she hadn't seen it, and it's weird, I couldn't read her. Like, she said she kind of liked it, but I don't know if she was just saying that because I love that movie, and she hated the premise because it freaked her out too much. So I don't know, and that's like the third or fourth time I've shown somebody Cabin Fever, and they've always had a weird reaction to it. 16, favorite actor, Jack Nicholson. Of all time, Jack Nicholson is the best, but more recently, Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale, and Denzel Washington. 17, favorite actress, Jennifer Lawrence is killing it. I just watched Silver Linings Playbook for the first time. It took me long enough. And man, I fell in love with her in that movie. Scarlett Johansson, I just love, just because she's Scarlett Johansson. Sarah Paulson. I've been binge watching American Horror Story like crazy. And she's in every single season. She always plays a different type of character every season. And the range of emotions she does in every character is amazing. And then after watching Birdman, Emma Stone. I've liked Emma Stone for the longest time. I thought she was great. I love her in comedies, but you watch her in Birdman and she is phenomenal. Number 18, favorite movie franchise. Well, the Dark Knight trilogy. The Marvel Cinematic Universe. Does that count as a franchise? To me it does. You know, you could say that the Iron Man movies is a separate franchise from the Thor movies or whatever, but I kind of consider them all one big franchise, and so because it's Marvel, I look forward to each and every new one. Number 19, favorite movie, The Dark Knight. I've answered this so many times that I'm sure I'm annoying people with this. Number 20, least favorite movie, The Human Centipede 2. I don't need to get into why. It's fucking atrocious. And I heard that they're making a part 3. Fucking hell. God help me if I ever have to watch that. The Crow, Wicked Prayer. It's the 4th Crow movie, and it's the bottom of the barrel. And this random horror movie from like 1999 or 98, Milo. I remember back when FairNet used to be a thing. I don't think they're around anymore, which sucks. I watched Milo on FairNet, and fuck, I can't ever get those 2 hours back. Ever. And last question, number 21. Do you want to work in the film industry? Yes, very much so. I would love to direct. I'd love to write. But really anything. If I could be involved in any way, that'd be a dream. Anyways, guys, that's it. That's an About Me tag video. Who do I tag next? What pisses me off, 710, and Steph1104. I think that'd be cool to see you guys do this as well. So guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.